That was weird. Okay. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why is my voice not coming through? Hello. Goodness gracious. I was like, what the fuck? Every once in a while, I don't know why this happens. Whenever I'm streaming using OBS, it will, for some reason, set my, my audio device for my microphone to default. What is default, you might ask? Effectively, Windows going... So, yeah. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to up that. I'm convinced of your Haman Karn theory now. It is very possible. I'm curious about it. What an episode. Like, I'm not quite sure how to process what I just saw. Like, at all. Need a little wake-up juice. It is very muggy in Illinois, by the way. Like, we are just, like, I am fucking dying. I need to text my landlady and be like, hey, when are you putting the AC unit in my fucking windows, man? Because I'm like half dead here. But anyway, because yeah, it's 87 degrees where I'm at. The heat index is up to like 95. So, and I've got no AC. I've just got fans blowing, which what makes it worse is that I have two windows in this room. I have one to my left and one to my right. The one to my left is by my hobby desk. The one to my right, and yeah, you got to see my messy closet because I need the airflow. But the one to my right just is by my other monitors. And what's great is whenever the wind blows from one of two directions, it comes straight through one window and out the other, giving me this nice little airflow in this one spot. The problem is that a lot of times the wind does not blow in Illinois. Like, unless you're up in Chicago. It sucks. So, yeah, it's been a little rough, to say the least, because, like, with some airflow, this would be manageable, oddly enough. Other thing before we get into the episode of GQuuuuuux, it's supposed to rain in like an hour, so that's a plus. It feels like it needs it. But the next thing that that I wanted to let you guys know is where we're at with the progress on Zeta Gundam Part 3. I am in the last third of the script right now. It has admittedly taken me a little bit because I have admittedly had a bunch of shit on my mind, so I have let myself get distracted, and that is my fault, and I apologize. I should not have done that. So, but I'm focused. I'm in on it. We're working. It's gonna get cool. So yeah. So let's talk about the episode itself. Oh, and one last thing. I hope that my post that I put up in community posts didn't bother anybody. I just felt like getting that off my chest. Because I saw some people that were leaving comments that are like, is nobody gonna criticize this show? And stuff like that. And I'd like to think that, like, every episode I've talked about stuff I didn't like, and things that were missing. And this show definitely has some problems. The biggest one I think that works against it is the fact that it's apparently only 12 episodes. They had to cram a lot in a very short amount of time where I think a lot of us would have liked to have gotten to know some of these characters a little bit better. But again, like I said in the community post, whenever I do the long review of the series once it's done, then you will see more criticisms from me. Because what's going to happen is, once the show is over next week, I am going to give it a day or two. I'm going to sit my fat ass in this chair and get some good eats, like get some pizza or some burgers or something. And, well, it's Gundam, so I should probably get burgers, right? But, and then I'll rewatch the whole thing. And then I'll write my review as I'm watching it. So just I just want you guys to know that if you think that I'm selling out or something, like, first off, Amazon's not giving me any money. I'm too poor. If Amazon was giving me money, you would not see me where I am right now. I like my apartment, don't get me wrong. You know, for the amount I pay for it, it's pretty great. But if I was making Amazon money, I would have better glasses, or I would have already gotten LASIK. I would not live in this apartment. You know, I would probably live in a house somewhere here in town or out in North Carolina. You know, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not making that kind of money. So yeah. So let's talk about what happened in the episode. So this was something that's been building ever since we left Side 6. That there was inevitably going to be a conflict between Machu and Yan, right? Get some McDaniels, exactly. Liquid, oddly enough, one thing that I'm thinking about doing for my for like a 50,000 or maybe 100,000, I don't know, it'd probably be the 50,000 subscriber special, is actually foods from Gundam. I'm actually thinking about that because there's a few specific ones that obviously are pretty known in Gundam. For example, like burgers, obviously. You've got McDaniels, you got the McDaniels joke. You've also got the 0080 hamburger joke, so on and so forth. And like the goal would be to make the video as cursed as possible whenever we talk about burgers. but I actually had a idea where I was actually going to smash a tomato with my bare hand. You know, and just like actually replicate the camera angles from Witch from Mercury when I do it, so on and so forth. But like burgers are a big one. And then there's bread, obviously. That's a big thing with F91. And I do know how to make sourdough bread. So that would be fun to do. But I would have to look and see... sorry, I had to crack my neck there. I'd have to see... what? Well, actually, let me have a look. Seabook Arno bread. Is there any pictures of him actually cooking bread? I'm going to have to consult Shirt Dude on this. Oh. That's not a sourdough loaf. That is French bread that he makes. I don't know how to make French bread, but I can learn. It's not a big deal. I know how to make just bread in general. So that would be one as well, like a French bread loaf. And I'd have to look and see if there's some other, like, you know, well-known Gundam foods, you know. But I thought about doing something like that. Isn't there a panel of Crossbone of him working at the bakery? Well, there, in one of the Crossbone sequel manga, which takes place during Victory, we see his bakery. We see the business that he and his wife opened up. Because apparently during, I think it's Crossbone Ghost, where we actually see Seabook get back into a Gundam. Because he has to. So, which is pretty wild. C-Book is probably the most underrated Gundam pilot ever. He's really good at what he does. Gundam themed drinks. Trying to think. Well, Char is a whiskey drinker. I could talk about whiskeys. Maybe that would be like the meal. Is like like make a burger from completely from scratch. Bun, I'll like slice my own vegetables, all of it, and then top it off with a glass of whiskey, which I have never drank Japanese whiskey before, so that'll be interesting. We do have a tequila Gundam. That is true. Oh, another Gundam food. Wanderbug fried rice. I would have to do fried rice too, because that's Sai Saishi's trademark dish, and that's one of my favorite foods. So not just to eat, but to cook. But anyway, so get Suntory. Okay, let me bookmark that. Suntory whiskey. I have never had it before. Wow, it's actually not that expensive. I would have thought it would have been a lot pricier. It is about $35. But the higher quality stuff is obviously more expensive. I would probably end up getting like a $70 bottle. Something that's a bit more refined, you know. Is his fried rice traditional? I believe so. I'd have to rewatch G Gundam. I haven't watched it in a bit, but yeah, it seems traditional to me. You know, I'm pretty sure that he has like green onions in it and carrots and peas and all that other sort of like vegetables. Probably has peppers in it too, which would actually add some really neat flavor. I need to try that next time. I actually plan on making fried rice for myself next week. So that reminds me, I have chicken I need to thaw out for, I bought buttermilk, so I need to make, start marinating that so I can make chicken strips. But because it is humid today, I'm like, you know what? I know what to do. I'm going to make donuts. Because there is no day better to make bread than a humid day. Because your dough is going to rise like crazy. And it will be stupid soft. Like dead serious. This is a tip that I have for anybody who wants to cook and make like breads. Is make sure when you're letting the dough rest that the room it is resting in is humid. It will rise like crazy. I remember one time I was working at my uncle's church camp. And because for those who don't know, like most of my family are involved in ministry in some degree. I've been a minister myself at one point, you know. And the 46th anniversary for Gundam has a Sazabi whiskey. I'll look into that. But if you're going to make breads, what we were doing is we actually were making pizzas, and they let the dough rise on it because they let it rest before they put it into the ovens to cook them, right? Well, like it doubled in thickness, but when you bit into the crust, it was all air. So it was like crunchy but super airy on the inside. It was perfect. Humidity is your best friend, in my opinion, when you're making bread. So I think that whenever I'm making enough money to get a decent house, because it's going to probably have central air, I'm going to have to put a humidifier inside of the kitchen for whenever I make breads. So But yeah, I personally just love, like, whenever I make pizza, I love a really airy crust that's just kind of thicker. So whenever I bite into it, it's got that outside texture, but the inside's nice and soft and airy. So anyway, we've talked a lot about food. We are still 20,000, well, no, 19,000 subscribers away from that goal. So we got a while to get there. The other goal, though, that we're halfway to is the member goal. Remember, if we hit this, Shirt Dude and I are going to start a podcast based purely around lore. So I know that some of you in chat are fans of Tex Talks Battletech. Think sort of like that crossed with maybe a little bit of Adeptus Ridiculous, though with none of Bricky's irony poisoning. Nothing against the guy, I just feel like he's irony poisoned. Or he tends to do that to himself. But a little bit of that kind of a format, just me and Shirt Dude shooting the shit about a Gundam-oriented, or even like Warhammer-oriented topic, things along those lines. Because the interesting thing about it is, like, there will also be points where we're teaching each other about lore. Because I don't just know Gundam, I do know 40K, I also know Star Wars really well. So, and I also know comic books as well. So I could talk about, like, lore differences between different versions of the Punisher, for example. Because Frank Castle's one of my favorite characters. Captain America, same thing. Talk about, like, retcons that actually worked, you know, like the Winter Soldier would be a good one, so on and so forth. So Saishi seems like a Szechuan chef, so a lot of chili pepper spice in his fried rice. I'm pretty sure that like in the anime you see him put like actual peppers in it. So what I would do is the way that I like to cook fried rice is I slice the carrots first, and then start cooking them in oil until they start to soften. Then I throw in my aromatics, so green onion or white onion or yellow onion, depending on what I'm in the mood for. Usually yellow onion is like, I'll do either a mix of green and yellow onion or just straight green onions. But throw those in there to kind of perfume everything that's been cooking. Then you throw in some peas as well, usually frozen ones, because they'll cook properly that way. But if you wanted to add in pepper, like Szechuan peppers, you do it when you throw in the onion, because it's going to perfume everything that's already in there, and it's going to add this beautiful flavor to it. So, scallions? I've never put scallions in fried rice. Never tried, but it could be good. I could see it. Anyway, let's talk about the episode. So recently, or like I just watched the episode probably about like 2 hours ago, so I don't have any notes. I just went into this one raw, and I was like, what the fuck? I have no clue what's going on now. Like, I have, like, no fucking clue. So, it started off where we had the war crime in the last episode, where basically Caecilia effectively has taken over Zeon. You know, she kills her brother and his detachment. Doesn't even, like, no foreplay, just goes right in, right? So she does that. And then we start getting fights between the New Type Corps and Shaliavul. Then we get... I need to do something with my hands here. But, I am really anxious today. I don't know why. Might be the caffeine. But I think it's just, like, just the absolute confusion of this goddamn episode. But, so we had that going on. And then, Neon, like, kills half of the Zeon military. The half that was loyal to Giran. And it's like, what the hell? So... might also be the heat. Probably. But anyway. The So that was where we left ourselves last time. Was with the war crime. So now we get the fight between Machu and Nyan, and we've been building up to this for a while now. And it started out as just being over a boy, and to be honest with you, man, it was very brief. The actual fight between her and or between Machu and Nyan. I was kind of expecting it to be like most of the episode, but it was pretty brief. Like, it was maybe just a couple minutes, if that. Just basically seeing the GQuuuuuux fight Fred. So it was, yeah, G Fred. So I'm like, was it Fred or was it Frank? It's Fred. But anyway, so we get that battle, and it's very short. There's not really like a true winner and loser in it. But basically what happens is that at some point Machu gets clear and manages to disable the limiter on her Psycom. And the thing about that was like these orbs appeared around her, and she managed to break through what they said was like a time lock around the Rose of Sharon, the Elmeth. So she manages to free it. And that's when things just start getting weird. Like, how do I put this? First off, everybody's like, where has Shar Aznable been this whole time, right? Well, apparently he did not go beyond the time at all. Apparently he's just been hanging out. Like, what? Dude just was there working for Zeon again, but working on the big fucking death ray to hide himself. And I'm just sitting here like, bro, just literally just hid in plain sight. What the actual fuck? Yeah, he was just there the whole time. What? What the hell? I couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, what the fuck? It was pretty implied. I'm gonna have to go back. That might be something when I do a watch back of the episodes, I might notice it. But I didn't notice it before because there was a couple different blonde guys, right? So I'm just like, what the fuck? But this episode was very cryptic. In the whole thing about it. We get this thing where Shar is back. Kycilia figures it out because Kycilia does know him well. They have a conversation about what's going on, and during that, Fred comes through the wall like the fucking Kool-Aid man. And Shar starts talking to Machu whenever he gets away from Kycilia. And one thing that's weird about what happens is that once the connector gets disconnected from the Rose of Sharon, somehow Shar's clothes get magically changed back to his Zeon uniform. And he just goes, I guess this is how she sees me. She being the Lala that is stuck in that Elmeth, which we do see awaken. And we actually saw a new type ghost of Shuji during this that guided Machu to the Rose of Sharon. And then, of course, there's a thing where we think that Kycilia is going to shoot towards Machu and Shuji, and what ends up happening is Nyan, because she's got a crush on Shuji, shoots Kycilia in the back. Now, it doesn't look like she wounded her that bad. It looks like she just shot her like above the kidney or something, which there's no good place to get shot. Let me just say that. Like, there's no there's not a good place to get shot. Because if an artery gets severed, you're fucked. Right? You're just going to bleed out, you know, within a couple of minutes. One of the few safe places to get shot is, like, there's a space between the lower part of your ribs and then the upper part of your kidney. That is basically mostly just flesh. Closer to, like, not quite the love handle, but, like, just above it. That is one of the few places where if you get shot, you probably will not bleed out from it. You know, you're not in too bad of an issue. It's a plot wound. Yeah, that's basically it. But it is plausible to live through that. So, hold on one second. Guys, I will be back in just a few minutes. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. This is my landlady. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still recovering from my back injury. Where was I? So to let you guys know, my landlady's grandsons are going to come in here and put in my AC unit in my bedroom. When they do that, I'll have to stop again. But they had to go grab like a big enough air conditioner for my apartment. So, anyway. So, what ends up happening is that, you know, like the Rose of Sharon has been disconnected from the machine, this big fucking war crime machine. And what we see in it is we finally see that Char and Shuji had some sort of connection at some point. We don't exactly know what. And effectively what happens at that point, we just see a flashback of the two of them talking. And like, we don't know if Char just gave him the red Gundam or what happened. But so what they end up doing, what they talk about is what a Zeknova actually is at one point. They finally explain it. Wing Dragon Gold Zero talking mad crazy. I don't know who that is. Somebody in the chat? But what ends up happening, what they say is basically like a Zeknova is a it is like a transfer, like Minovsky particles reacting to something that transfers energy from one universe to another. And the weird thing about it is that they said in the past what had happened was Zeknovas had been created and they switched something from another universe to that universe, or that universe to another universe, like it shunted something. But in this particular case, what they're doing is the opposite is now happening. So we see Lala awaken, and then we see another Beyond the Time thing going on, and then we see this. We see the original Gundam. And some people are thinking that there might be, like, Shuji has some connection to Amuro Ray. It's possible. I don't think he is Amuro. He's too young. The one thing I've said this whole time, he looks a lot like Camille, though. But then again, he might not be. He might just be meant to be, like, a parallel. You know, or something like that. But, the question is... Hey, Kaser. Konnichiwa. But the Grandpa Gundam shows up. The actual RX-78-2. With yellow eyes and everything. While the song Beyond the Time plays. From Char's Counterattack. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? No worries, Joel. I appreciate you stopping in, dude. I'm doing pretty good. Just a bit warm today. God, we have almost 100 people watching right now. That's so fucking wild to me. Thank you all for stopping by and hanging out. But what I'm genuine, like, this, here's the interesting thing about this. In regards to just sort of what this opens up. This opens up questions. Is a Zeknova something between this universe and another alternate timeline of the Universal Century? Is it, you know, is the timeline, yeah, like Zeo Turia says, is it course correcting itself? Like what like I don't know. Like there's so many questions that I have about it because the big thing that I'm thinking, honestly, are Char and Amuro from the original Universal Century still alive somewhere? I mean, Tamino's official position is that they both died. But as much as I love Tamino, he doesn't control what's canon in Gundam at this point. You know, Sunrise does. Would have been cooler if the new Gundam came through. When I heard Beyond the Time, that's what I was expecting. Was for the new Gundam to come through with an orb in its hand. I was expecting it to be Amuro from the original timeline and Char. But that's not the case. Um, but the thing is that in Unicorn, they flat out say that Char's dead. So I was just like, ooh, are we going to get a retcon? Nope, we didn't. So that's a bummer. But because that's actually one thing about like some Super Robot Wars games, like Super Robot Wars V, is that like effectively Amuro gets like put into an alternate universe. Like that, like sometimes whenever that with Char's counterattack. So but I don't think that's the case here. I think that what we're dealing with is two different alternate universes because the visions that the Lala of this universe was seeing from the other Lala, we la 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 la. There's lots of Lalas. What we're seeing from that is we're seeing basically kind of like new type magic, what it can do. We're seeing people go beyond the time, but I think that we're dealing with two different alternate universes, not the original Universal Century. Now we're over 100 people. Holy shit. I've never had this many people in live stream before. Thank you. So yeah, it's so cool to me though that they are doing this. But I'm curious about, is it gonna be Shuji that's in the original Gundam? Is it Amuro? You know, is it Amuro from another universe? You know, what role is Shuji going to play in this? Is he just a new type ghost now, or is he like what's going on? Because Char gets his red Gundam back, and it looks like in the episode that, like the preview for the next episode, it looks like, what's her face? It looks like, Neon is not, no, Machu. Machu is going to be fighting the original Gundam, which is so crazy to me. Guess this episode's revelations got people interested. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Binary, because like it absolutely has me at a point where I'm just like, whoa, what the actual fuck, dude? And of course, you know, there's always a lot, like a large bit of nostalgia anytime we see the Grandpa Gundam, right? Like every time we see this big guy, people get happy. So it's very wild. Very, very wild, to say the least. Oh my gosh. I'm sweating bullets. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's so humid. People are saying Amuro's gonna rock Machu a new one. I could see it. I could see it. I'm curious as to how this is all gonna go. The F to part is that Char won't know who the fuck Amuro is. That is also true. Alright, give me just a second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. The AC is in. It's going to start cooling things down in here. Whew. Goodness gracious. So, here's my question to you guys. Do you guys think that they're going to pursue a second season, or do you think they're going to stop it at 12? I'm honestly curious what you guys think. Like, I'm of the opinion that it is, I think it's possible. It do be very toasty, yeah. It's supposed to rain tonight, so that'll be a big difference maker. You guys think it's just, Damon thinks you can stop at 12. Original says, hope they do a second season. I do too. I've enjoyed this show for the most part. I would like to see them start to do some Zeta shit after this. Like, genuinely, because we know the Titans exist. You know, we saw Bask Ohm. You know, we saw a Psycho Gundam. We saw one of the Murasame children. You know, because for those who don't know, I go over it in Zeta Part 3, so there will be more of an explanation, but the Murasame new type lab is where that Psycho Gundam came from. And that is where the original one came from as well. So in this timeline, they built it that much quicker. And the girl that we saw piloting it was one of the Murasame children. BC throws in a couple bucks, says, imagine if it was the G-Savior that came through. I have a feeling there will be memes of different Gundams coming through. I'm just waiting for the one where instead of we hear Beyond the Time, we hear this. Hold on, let me play it. I'm going to mute my desktop audio real quick. But imagine if we heard this. And then and then Wu Fei just comes through and he's like, women. Do you want to know why you have this problem? Because you're a woman. That would be so fucking great. Like, that was Duo's theme, not Wu Fei? No, it wasn't. Wu Fei's theme is called When the Dragon Swims, Everything Ends. Duo's theme is different. Duo Maxwell's theme is called The Black Wind Invites Death. And this is what it sounds like. That's Duo's theme. Because, like, every character has a theme song. Like, yeah, Wu Fei's is When the Dragon Swims, Everything Ends. Duo's is called When the Black Wind Invites Death. I think is, Catra's is really dark sounding in its style. It's something like a peaceful wind across the corpses. Like it's like a metal sounding title. Let me look it up. Let's see if, because it's on Spotify. Is this translated into into English? I think it is. No, it's not. Yeah, I cannot remember the name of it. But and thank you, Servant, for renewing your membership. Imagine if we saw Burning Gundam come through. Oh, dude, imagine if you heard Trust Me Forever and the Shuffle Alliance comes through. What was Troa's theme called? I don't know, but it's a banger. Okay, hold on a second. I actually know the video game that... Oh, wow, it's really starting to cool down in here. This is nice. Let me have a look. What was it called? G Generation X Rays soundtrack. Cross Rays, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so... okay, here it is. So, Hiro's is his track is called "The Wings of a Boy That Killed Adolescence." Duo's is "The Black Wind Invites Death." Troa's is "Back in the Smell of Blood and Gunpowder." And yeah, Zero Arturia says, "Looking for peace, hiding in the corpses," is Catra's, and then Wu-Fei's is "When the Dragon Swims, Everything Ends." And then one of my favorites is actually Trey's theme, because it's called Trey's Kushranada, the Man Who Makes History. That is a fucking baller name for a theme song. It is dope. What is my favorite protagonist starter Gundam? It's Wing, the original, like Wing Gundam. Wing Gundam and then Grandpa are my two favorites. I feel like both of them just have incredible aesthetics. So they're all dark sounding when you say them all except Wu-Fei's. Yeah, Wing is a lot darker than people remember. That's the funny thing about it. Like there's some episodes of Wing that are really dark. That's not a theme song, that's a statement. That's why I love it. I love Trace. Trace is my favorite villain in the series. He's incredible. I would legit pay money to watch Trey's Kushranada be the one who leads the assault with his Oz forces instead of against Char, and I would absolutely love to see the Tallgeese 2 throw down with the Sazabe. And honestly, I think Trey's could take him. Only thing people remember from Wing is the Yuri fan dubs. Well, people who don't like Wing seem to remember like weird shit about it. They don't actually like watch the actual show because they don't like it, you know. Because Glory of the Losers does the plot better than the anime, even is solid. I don't completely agree with that, actually. I've read Glory of the Losers, and I've watched all of Wing. I had I had to read through it for the Wing videos I did, And it's basically the same story, just certain things mixed around. The one fight that is like a major difference is there is a clash between Duo and the Tall Geese that is not in the original that I thought was kind of interesting. And one thing that I don't like is they moved Mueller and the other guy, I forget his name. They moved them to space just to have them cameo, when that episode where Zex kills them, when they start genociding soldiers who surrendered, that's a really poignant episode to give you an idea of Zex's mental state at the time. Not to mention the whole fools thing when he rips the fucking cancer in half. Dude, that's iconic. The fact that they got rid of that shocked the shit out of me. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it's so iconic that it has made it into like fan animations and fucking meme compilations. For example, some of you guys might have seen this. Some of you not. I don't have a noise gate on my microphone, so I'm going to mute myself while I play parts of this. There it is. See? Yeah. Like, it's an iconic moment. It really is. It's like, it's one of the, like, we all know that image of the Tall Geese ripping the cancer in half. It is one of the coolest moments in all of Gundam. It is amazing. Because, and like, in its context, it's chilling because it's giving this impression of where he's at. Where Zex is at as a character. He's just losing his faith in the institution that he fought for and believed in. Because the other thing that you have to keep in mind, I don't remember the exact episode that it's in, but the one thing you have to keep in mind is that Mueller and the other guy were two of Noin's top students. And they were losing themselves in war. Like, all of the things that Oz was supposed to represent were just being ignored and just thrown out the window by soldiers. And he's like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know? And it's like, it's part of a long process of Zex just losing his faith in everything. And I had to make the point at the end, or during the ending of the Wing series that I did, is that you have to keep in mind everything Zex had gone through up to the point of the White Fang. Everything up to that point was every single institution, everything he believed in failed him. Every single one. And he did not feel he could go back to his own family because of how much blood he had to shed. He is a tragic story of a man that could have been a lot better than he did. Thankfully, he, is able to redeem himself later on, but, it's like, it's fucking wild. Like, cause the whole thing about Wing is it's basically a story about war turning people insane, and the principles that they once believed in just going out the window just to win, Didn't help that the colonies were used as a hostage during his duel with the Wing. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, he was so pissed off at Noin for that because it wasn't honorable. Because here's the thing about, and he wasn't a sociopath unlike Char. Yeah, he was just broken. But the whole thing about it is just that there is a God, there's so much to Zex as a character. I love the guy, honestly. I mean, there's a reason that his tall geese sits on my desk. Like, 2 of his 3 mobile suits, well, 2 of his 3 main ones, like his ace pilot suits, I have in my office. I have the tall geese right here, and I have my Epion right over there, and then I have my tall geese 3 in the other room. So, one thing I've actually considered doing with my Epion over there and my Wing Zero is changing their poses to where they're actually fighting. But I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that. I might, because they're both on stands, so they're both safe. So yeah. But enough about Wing. So, love both the TV series and Glory of the Losers. They both have good things and small bad things. Yeah, that's my perspective. I like everything Wing. Like, the only, except for Frozen Teardrop, which admittedly I haven't read, but what I have seen of it, I don't like. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like, fuck off with that noise, man. So, imagine Offranche, Char and the guy here pop out. Oh, that would be interesting. You didn't want Trace's tall geese too? I have it. It's right here. He stays on my desk too. Always saluting. Like, I actually had to put him in a Trey's pose. So. Oh my goodness. Finally cooling down. It's really nice. Time to put water decals on your Gundam TR1 Hazel. I envy you. I hope that at some point I'll be able to afford the Hazel. And like, I actually have a shelf on in my bookcase to specifically be for whatchamacallit, for the Titans, and I've only got a Marasai and the Mark II down there. So, now granted, both the Marasai and the Mark II that I have, I got Build of the Week from New Type for both of those. So, oh my goodness. Alright, folks. What do you guys think? So if this, like, let's assume that this is going to be the last of Gundam we see for a bit. What do you guys think what do you guys want next, Gundam-wise? do you want a second season of this? Do you want, like, I'm personally of the opinion that I would definitely not mind a second season of GQuuuuuux, but on the other hand, I would also really like to see an animation of Crossbone. I feel like we've been waiting so long for it, you know. Help me with the Mandela effect about Wing. Could have sworn there was a story where Miliardo gets house arrested by terrorists. No, that does not happen. Second season of Quux, Crossbone, the last two Hathaway's Flash movies. Yeah, I definitely want more Hathaway, because the first Hathaway movie was incredible. Wouldn't mind a second season of this since we get so little time with characters, but yes, for the love of gods, just give us Crossbone. I'd like to see any late UC series. I want to see a second season of GQuuuuuux and a full-blown anime adaptation of the Origin manga. Okay. Waiting for the other two before I dive in. I want to watch one big movie. What is Bandai's problem with Crossbone? I don't think they have a problem with Crossbone, honestly. I think that isn't the next animation Uter Hunt from IBO? I don't know. I don't remember if they're doing a series on that. I remember they had said something about a mini series or something like that. Because Uter Hunt's a game, like it's like a mobile game, but apparently it has like a bunch of like animation in it. So there was something about like they were bandying about around the idea of actually turning it into a mini series, which yeah, I would watch that in an instant. Would you like to see if they can redeem the G-Witch timeline? Nah, I don't want to revisit it. It had its time in the sun. Just let's forget it ever happened. But yeah, I think that for Bandai, they probably think of Crossbone as a they probably C5 next. No, thank you. I think that they look at Crossbone as a big question mark. And the thing about big businesses is that they don't like big question marks. I see this as a business owner myself, right? Both, for like my own YouTube channel, obviously, which I consider a business, and then the business that I run, my publishing company. Big question marks are not something business owners like. We just don't. We like things that we know are going to work, because we're always thinking about the dollar signs that are going to come around if it fails, It's why there's a lot of ideas that I admittedly shoot down whenever it comes to, stuff in the publishing realm, because it's like, no, that's not a good suggestion. We're not we're not in the place for it. Da 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 da. The business owner has to say no. Know when to say no. Oftentimes with business owners, whether it's big megacorps or just like little guys like me, is that if there's a big enough question mark on something, the answer is always going to be no. And I have a feeling that what their thought is that Crossbone has a following. We don't know if this is going to hit in a way that is going to be a big success. Not to mention, if they do Crossbone, with especially with this whole like 12 episode season thing, they're not going to be able to do it because Crossbone is not short. It's not a short story. You would cut out a lot of it. You know, they would need to invest in it long term and basically say, all right, we're in this for the long haul. You know, which I just don't. It's so weird. I don't think Sunrise is really willing to do that right now, and I don't know why. I don't understand it. Like they have not done a full 50 episode Gundam series since IBO. You know? But yeah, the other thing about it is I also think that they're probably going to. I think if they do animate Crossbone, it would probably be after Hathaway. But let's just get Hathaway done, you know, because Hathaway still has like a second and third part to the story, you know. Seems to be an anime standard nowadays. Yeah, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm really not. Moon Gundam would be neat. Yeah, Moon Gundam is another one that they could do. The one thing I don't like about Moon Gundam is the whole idea of Amuro fighting a Sazabi prototype. That did not make any sense to me because it's like, well, wait a minute. The first time you ever saw the Sazabi was in Char's counterattack. So why is he seeing it again or earlier, you know? It's one of those things where, like, because the guy who wrote Moon Gundam is also the guy who wrote Unicorn, where he tends to fanboy a little bit too much and not think about whether or not this makes sense to do. And he's very rule of cool in a lot of the things that he does. And it's just one of those things, it's like, that was awesome. I don't want to think about it. Like, it gives me Iron Man 3 vibes. Iron Man 3 is a movie I go back and forth on a lot. Because I watched that with my youngest sister. Because used to be one of my pastimes with my youngest sister, my baby sister. Because her and I are very close. We would go see movies together. And one that we saw together was Iron Man 3. And we went to Steak and Shake to get some food after, and we're just kind of sitting there talking about the movie, and I'm like, you know, I feel like the more we talk about this movie, the more we hate it. and she's like, you know, yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about some of the stuff that the guy who does Unicorn does. But yeah, I won't go into too much more detail about Unicorn. Because, again, I have thrown the hint that there will be a section of that where you hear the Mallow Mart theme. Which, I'm genuinely hoping that I have made that somebody's sleep paralysis demon. Because I just want this. I want there to just be a thing like whenever people are watching my videos, and you're just like you know, I'm talking about stuff, talking, and then suddenly you hear the Mallow Mart theme, and you're like, oh god damn it, fuck. Oh man, I think it's a stretch, but a revisit to Wing would be cool. I would like to actually see them do G-Unit. But I don't know how they would be able to do G-Unit in the West. I don't know if they would run into problems with 50 Cent. Because he owns... Like, I don't know if that would cause copyright issues here in the States or not. So, Mellow Mark theme. No, Mallow Mart. It is a section from a game that I have never even played, but it is the most sarcastic music I've ever heard. Hold on a second. I've never played Twilight Princess, but I've heard that this section of the game is really weird. But it's from Zelda Twilight Princess. And it is so fucking... There it is. Oh, god damn it. It is like one of the most sarcastic sounding pieces of music ever. Use it for your videos? What the fuck? Yeah, exactly. I absolutely do. I'm going to be using it for like anytime that I'm talking some mad shit. You're going to be like, oh no, not the Mallow Mart theme. Anything but that. Here it is right here. Any Seed videos? I don't think there's anything new Seed coming out until apparently they're doing some sort of prequel to Seed Freedom. And in which case, if it comes out and it's bad, I will roast the shit out of it. Where does Salem Mass fit into GQuuuuuux? She had a quick cameo and that was it. Gundam Wing video when? I mean, I don't know if there's any more Gundam Wing videos that I could do. Because, like... Let's look at the lineup. Mallow Mart theme with any Seed video? I think that we first used the Mallow Mart theme in the Seed Freedom review. But yeah, let me have a look. Because Wing was stuff we did. So we have the full saga. Oh, it's at 83,000 views. Nice. We have full saga. Then we have all 4 parts of it. Still quite fond of this shitpost video. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else for me to really do with Wing except for review G Unit and then review Frozen Teardrop. Shin Mobile Suit Gundam directed by Hideaki Anno. I'd watch it. I'd watch it. So real quick, one thing I'm curious about before we take off, because I'm getting ready to... I need to eat some food. One thing I'm curious about is if there's any interesting kits on the P Bandai store. Category model kits. Let's have a look. A lot of high grades. I don't think they put anything new up. There is some stuff in here I'd like to get to kind of fill out my my shelves. But yeah, not a ton of master grades. Though the Tall Geese Flugel is available. The Jagan Type D is still available. When does this... we'll find out when that ships out. So Gym Command, this is one that I want for my my 1-year war shelf. When does this one ship? In October. That's not too far from now. Then there's Garma Zaku. This one I also want for my 1-year war shelf. I really like that Heat Hawk. It's a Garma's kind of a tool, but man, this is a dope ass Zaku. Yep, even has the 4 Vulcans in the head, which standard Zakus do not have. So that's what I wouldn't mind getting my hands on. I want to do a custom paint job of the Jagan Type D as well, and put one behind me. All right. You see that Watch Mojo put out a top 10 biggest flexes in Gundam? Yeah, I don't remember. I don't really watch Mojo, so can't really say much about it. Is it bad? Like, is it a bad video? I'm curious. But anyway, GQuuuuuux has to be the new sleeper hit of 2025. I would say it's definitely surprised a lot of people. And I'm one of them. Honestly, I've enjoyed it. It's not perfect. It's got its flaws, but it's definitely been a lot of fun to watch. All right, guys. I am going to... What's the difference between the Type D in Unicorn and the Shark's counterattack version of the Jagan? It's mostly the shoulders. The shoulders are slimmer. On the Jagan Type D basically is a mass production Gundam Mark II. We'll stack them next to each other. Okay, it's not perfect, but you get the idea. Like, it takes a lot of the same design philosophies as the Mark II does. The difference is that the Jagan has, honestly, a much better backpack. But you'll notice it's also a little bit more lightly armored than the Mark II is. Which is saying something, because the Mark II is not even that armored. But yeah, the Jagan Type D has these shoulders that are a lot slimmer than your standard Jagan. But the rest of it's pretty much identical. But yeah, it's very similar to the Mark II. Similar leg construction. Differences in the hip armor, because there's barely any hip armor here. And obviously, there's plenty of hip armor on the Mark II. Shoulders are more armored on the Mark II. The beam sabers are in a different spot. A Jagan only has one beam saber. It's right here. Whereas the Mark II has 2 of them. A Jagan also has a Vulcan pod like a Mark II will have. Stuff like that. The big difference is the grenade launchers right here. These are actually projectiles. And then the Jagan has a backpack that has ridiculously good thrust capacity. I'll show you real quick. Because it has a massive booster on it. That big thing. So if you look at like the back of this, giant thrusters on the legs, giant thrusters on the backpack. The main reason as to why these were able to outperform the Gyaradoga, they were smaller, more lightweight, and much more maneuverable. They were very quick compared to the Gyaradoga. Like Xeon design philosophy for their mobile suits was really lacking around the time of Star's Counterattack, because they wanted to go big and powerful with everything, and the Federation was like, nah, we're gonna go small and sleek. And small and sleek won the day. I mean, we saw how the new Gundam fucking totaled the Sazabe. Because the new Gundam was faster. And it was much sleeker. And Amuro was a better pilot, obviously. So. Alright. I'm going to go rest and then get food. Because I am sweaty as all hell. Oh god, my shirt is soaked. So I'm going to go cool off and become less soaked. So, I appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out with me, especially for those of you who were generous with super chats and renewing your memberships. I appreciate it. But I'm going to go get a little bit of rest. I admittedly also didn't sleep that well. So, I'm going to go do that and enjoy that. And we will be back another time. Yeah, take a shower for sure. We'll be back another time. The apartment will be much cooler. And we'll be rocking and rolling. So, everybody, have yourselves a great night. And I will see you on the next one. Hopefully we get to do a painting stream soon.